Hi, this is Jose with HydroFreshGreens. This video is a comprehensive guide on growing microgreens using the MicroQuad Planter. The video is divided into chapters so you can quickly get to what you're interested in. So let's go ahead and get started. This video is divided into three sections. First, we review some basic principles on growing microgreens using the MicroQuad Planter. Then we will guide you through the whole process from planting through harvesting, showing you how the microgreens progress each day. And then finally, we will leave you with some final thoughts. The starter kit includes some basic tools used during the growing process. First, we'll start with our 5 by 5 inch grow trays. 4 of these trays fit into the MicroQuad planter. They are used to grow the microgreens, and they're also used to cover the microgreens during the germination phase. Next, we have the preparation trays. These are used for preparing the plant as well as during harvest. Then we have our spray bottle, which provides a very fine mist that avoids the problem of clumping smaller seeds together during the watering process if a larger spray bottle is used. Then we have our putty knife, which is used for preparing the grow media for planting, as well as during the cleaning process of reusable silicone mats to separate the roots from the grow media. And then finally, we have the silicone mats with a string. This is used to create a nice flat growing surface by removing bubbles and imperfection from your grow media. The MicroQuad planter is a hydroponic growing system which is designed to grow microgreens without soil. The starter kit includes 3 types of grow media, so let's talk about what they are. Well, first we'll start with the disposable micromats and we'll talk about the pros and cons of this one as well as the others. First, from a cost standpoint, each one costs about 25 cents. When you add about 25 cents for the seeds, one tray is going to cost you about 50 cents, which is about 10 times cheaper than what you can get at the store. So the benefits there are that it's disposable, very easy to use. The drawback is it is the most expensive of the grow medias that we have here in the list. Now, the way you prepare it is you add 1 micromat to the grow tray, which is sitting on a preparation tray. Then on top of that, you add the silicone mat with the string, and then you saturate all that with water. Then you temporarily remove the preparation tray so that the water can drain out from the bottom, and then you use the spatula to rub against the silicone mat so that you can squeeze out some additional water. You don't want to push too hard, just enough to squeeze some excess water out. Once you've done that, you can remove your silicone mat with a string just by pulling on it and then put back the preparation tray under the grow tray. At this point, that preparation tray helps to ensure that wherever you place it, it's not going to be leaking water. So that's how you prepare your disposable micromats. Now let's talk about the reusable silicone mats. So the benefit of this is that it is reusable. Now each silicone mat costs around 50 cents, but again, you're going to reuse it and they can be used multiple times, probably hundreds of times. So it's probably the cheapest solution in the long run. The drawback to the silicone mats is that once you're done, you have to clean them off and separate out the roots, which takes a couple of minutes. The way you use it is you add 2 silicone mats to the grow tray that's sitting on a prep tray, saturate with water, then you drain off the excess water from your preparation tray and put it back under your grow tray and it's ready to go. The final option is my favorite, which is the disposable bamboo paper. So the nice thing about this is the cost for around 6 sheets is what we're recommending you use is about 4 cents. So it's very cheap and it is disposable and compostable, so it's very easy to use. The way you use it is you add 6 sheets of our bamboo toilet paper onto the grow tray, which is sitting on a preparation tray. Now, the paper we're using is slightly smaller than 4 inches, so it fits in there perfectly. And then as you stack them all together, they don't have to be perfectly stacked. In fact, it's better if they're not perfectly stacked so that they cover the whole base of the grow tray perfectly. Once you've done that, once you put the 6 sheets in there, you add your silicone mat with a string on top. You saturate it with water, and then you temporarily remove the preparation tray to drain off excess water, and then you can slide the spatula back and forth over the silicone mat to squeeze off some excess water. You don't want to squeeze it all out, but you do want to get rid of most of the water there. Then you can remove the silicone mat with a string and pull back on the preparation tray, or put back the preparation tray underneath the grow tray to capture any excess water that may be coming out. And that's how you prepare your media, so it's ready to add seeds at that point. Let's talk about seeds and planting. Before we talk about the seeds, let's talk about pre-soaking. What some of the larger seeds require pre-soaking, which is basically placing the seeds in a cup of water for a few hours and then rinsing them off before you plant. And let's also talk about nutrients. Nutrients are not needed unless you grow microgreens that take longer than 10 days. All of the microgreens provided in our starter kit do not require nutrients. So let's start with broccoli or a similar type of small seed microgreen. It does not require pre-soaking. You require per tray about 3.5 to 4 grams, which is about slightly less than 1 teaspoon. If you filled it up a teaspoon with the microgreens and you're looking at it at eye level, you should not see the seed sticking up. If it's at the top of the teaspoon or bulging over, you have too much. You don't want to be able to see it when you're looking at it at eye level. Radishes take about 2 teaspoons full, and pre-soaking is not required either. Now we're getting into the larger microgreens like sunflower seeds, and they do require 4 hours of pre-soaking, and it takes about 3 tablespoons to fill up one tray. And then the peas, peas also require pre-soaking, and it takes about 12 hours of pre-soaking for the peas. The peas are kind of unique where a pea can be harvested 2 to 3 times per tray. And what you do with that is you grow it normally for about 8, 9 days, and then you can cut the tops off, the top 2 or 3 inches, or whatever's sticking up above the tray, and then you can put it back and grow, and it'll keep growing up again, and you can do that 2 or 3 times. Um, so now let's talk about how to plant. So once you've prepared your media, like we talked about in the previous slide, then you can sprinkle the seeds onto that moist media. You could use your fingers or spatula to spread out if necessary, and then you saturate the tops of the seeds with a spray bottle. And just keep spraying and spraying. Don't worry, because once you've saturated it all, then just from the preparation tray underneath the grow tray, you can just tilt that off to the side to drain off any excess water. And then once you've done that, you can add a grow tray on top of the seeds and add a weight on top of that secondary grow tray. That secondary grow tray is again to protect it from the light because it's supposed to be a blackout period for the first 4 days during germination. And then you add a weight on top of that. That weight has a multifunction to make sure that the seeds are making contact with the grow media. It also provides an even canopy and some other benefits as well. And you want to store that in a dark place for about 4 days, but you do want to bring it out every day and water it as instructed. Let's look at the timeline for growing microgreens. First, you have a germination phase, which lasts 4 days and where you keep the plants away from light. On day one, you plant and water the seeds using the mister, making sure you have a preparation tray underneath. And then once you've watered the seeds, you add a grow tray on top and you add a weight on top of that. The reason you do that is for light deprivation. By that extra grow tray on top helps to protect from the light, and the weight helps with ensuring that you have a strong seed to media contact, and it helps to create an even canopy. Then on day two, you start to see some roots on some of the seeds popping out. And what you do is you remove the secondary grow tray and the weight so that you can expose, you can actually look at the seeds, and then you spray it with the mister, and then you put back the additional grow tray and the weight. And that's it for day two. On day three, you should start to see roots on pretty much all of the seeds now. And most of the seeds are stuck onto the grow media or stuck to each other. So it's kind of creating a kind of a thick carpet there. And you can water with the mister, or at this point, you can also use a spray bottle if they're all kind of stuck together. Um, and then a weight is probably still okay, but if they are starting to grow like a half an inch high, you may be okay with removing the weight at that point. And then we can move on to day four. At day four, the microgreens now should be at least about a half inch tall, and at this point they should all be kind of grabbing onto the grow media. And at this point, you might be able to water directly from the faucet, very light watering, or you could use a spray bottle. Uh, we don't recommend having the weight on for that last day. You really want them, this is a day for them to grow because they want to look for the light, and they're starting to grow upwards, and by keeping them away from light, it helps them to grow faster. So that pretty much is the end of the germination phase, and now we're moving into the growth phase. At this point, on day five, you could transfer the trays over to the MicroQuad planter. And at this point, everything is automated. So you have automatic lighting, which stays on 18 hours a day, as well as automatic watering every 6 hours. So you're pretty much on autopilot at this point, and you keep this way until you're ready to harvest, and then you pull them out of the planter and harvest them. So now we're going to transition over to an actual demo showing you planting through harvesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and start planting some seeds. Today we're going to plant some radish seeds. Radish seeds are probably the easiest and most forgiving microgreen seeds you can grow. Okay, so let's start planting. First, we'll start with the preparation tray. The preparation tray holds any excess water once you've finished everything. On top of that, we're going to put a grow tray, and then let's put our media in there. We have 6 sheets of bamboo paper. On top of that, we're going to use the silicone mat that has a string attached to it, and we'll show you why we have that string there. So once you have that in place, then go ahead and put it in water. Just drench it full of water, no problem. And then you remove your preparation tray to remove any excess water. The grow tray has holes, so some of the water is coming out, but now you're going to use the spatula to slightly kind of push against the bottom to remove some additional excess water because you don't need a lot of water. And you don't want the seeds in soaking water, but you do want the seeds to, to remain wet. Now you can remove the silicone by pulling on the string. You can remove the silicone mat and expose the grow media, and then you can remove any excess water by tilting it to one side. Now you can add your preparation tray back in, and then you're ready for planting. So just start sprinkling the radish seeds in there. You want to sprinkle enough seeds so that it's covered about 75%. And then you want to be able to see some white in there, or brown if you're using unbleached bamboo paper. And you want to sprinkle it around. You can move it with your finger so that you have it somewhat evenly distributed, but you want to have plenty of white space as we're showing here, because they will expand, and as they start growing, they need a little room. So this one looks just about right. And then once you have it distributed properly, then you can now start preparing to spray it with water. You could use the spatula to move things around additionally, but it's pretty much ready for spraying. We provide a mister, but you can also use a spray bottle. Since these are radishes, they can pretty much handle a spray bottle. Smaller seeds like broccoli, if you use the spray bottle with broccoli and it doesn't have a fine mist, it pushes the seeds together and creates kind of uh, bunches of them. And so you definitely want to use a mister for smaller seeds. Once you have it sprayed, then go ahead and remove any excess water. Put the another grow tray on top and a weight, and then that's pretty much it for the first day. You put it somewhere dark, away from the light, for 24 hours. And then at that point, you can bring out the tray back on the second day. So here's an example of a tray that's been sitting for one day in the dark. So it's been 24 hours. You can see that the radishes, now some of them, the seeds are starting to be, or the roots are starting to be exposed there. So you can see some of them, not all of them, have the roots showing. Then at this point, you can spray them again. Even in this example, we're using the mister. The mister does take more pumps, but you can use a mister or a spray bottle. But in this example, it's radishes, so you could use either one. And you want to drench it, because after you drench it, your your bottom prep tray empties out, so you remove any excess water. You put the weight back on, and the additional grow tray, and it's ready to go again for another day. It's that quick, it's that easy. So now let's take a look at these that have been now 48 hours. Now you see pretty much all of the seeds have roots, and you basically created one thick carpet of microgreens here. There's no extra space anymore. It's just like one thick carpet. It's still low, touching the media, but it's all nice and condensed in there. And this is what it should look like after 48 hours. So on your third day, this is what we should be looking at. At this point, since it's so interweaved, the seeds are so interweaved, there's no problem of watering it with a spray bottle. You can use a mister as well, but at this point, they're really solid, pretty solid in there, and they're grabbing onto the grow media. So just go ahead and spray away. And again, you want to drench it because you can't overwater here, as long as you remove the bottom prep tray to remove any excess water once you've done spraying. So it's kind of foolproof there, okay? So you remove the excess water, you put the grow tray back on at this point, and then you want to make sure and put your additional grow tray on top of this, and then you can put your weight back on. So it's kind of ready to go there, and that's pretty much it for your This is going on your third day here. So the next day, what you'll see is now the radishes are starting to come up. They've lifted off of the grow media. They're raised up a little bit, not a lot, but maybe around a quarter inch or half inch up. So, and because the weight, you have nice even canopy. So at this point, you can use the spray bottle again, or you can water directly onto the plants through your sink if you want. And again, it depends on the radish or the microgreens you're using, but radishes are pretty strong, so they can handle going water from directly from the sink. If you have the smaller broccoli or something, you don't want to use sink water. You want to continue to use spray water. So anyway, once then you always remove the prep tray to remove any excess water and put the grow tray back on. You can see the hulls of the seeds are, that's one of the benefits of putting the weight on. The hulls will be removed, and that's good because you don't really need them. And there could be some seeds sticking onto your tray, so you can just put them back onto uh, the planting and then put your cover back on. At this point, you probably don't need a weight anymore because it's off of the grow media. Um, you could if you want to, but the problem is that sometimes the weight will go off to one side, and because it's growing more on one side, and you'll get some of the seeds being smashed. So at this point, once the seeds have lifted off the grow media, you can get away with you don't need the weight anymore. The weights have done their job, and created an even canopy as well as remove some of the hulls. So and make sure you had good contact from the seeds to the grow media. So they've done their job, and you don't need the weight anymore. So for this last day, you can have the weight off, and then what'll happen is the microgreens will start growing faster, rising up, and they'll be ready for the next grow phase. So let's bring out the tray, and you can see for radishes, they actually are now to the top of the grow tray. Some of them are actually above the grow tray. So these are they're yellow because they don't have any light yet, but they are ready to go. You have still a nice even canopy, and they're ready to go into the microquad planter. So we've done our job by germination phase, and so they look like they're ready to go. But before you put it into the planter, you want to water them one last time because they are hungry for water, and the planter only waters every 6 hours. So if you put them in, it could be 5 or 6 hours before they get water. So you want to give them a good start by drenching them again. And if you put water from the corner, then you're not going to smash any of the seeds, and it's pretty much ready to go. So this is what it should look like after 4 days, and so these you can shake off any holes that might be on the top, but they're pretty much ready to go. So that's radishes, and again, different types of microgreens will be slightly different, but that's the basic principle of the germination phase. And at this point, you can just transfer them over to the microquad planter. The microquad planter can also be used to start off your vegetable seeds. Okay, so to prepare the microquad planter, the first thing you want to do is make sure it's clean. Um, Even when it's brand new, sometimes there might be some extra plastic in there. But more importantly, after you've been using it for a week or one harvest, you want to clean it out. And it's very simple, just like you would wash any dishes, just mild soap and water, and make sure it's rinsed thoroughly so that there's no remaining soap in there. And then it's ready to fill. You fill the planter base, to the line that's below the lip. The lip is about 1 inch from the top, and then you'll see that lip, and then 1 inch below that lip is where the line should be, but the line will wear out over time. and it's approximately 1 inch. And then you fill it up to that level. And then what you do is to check, you want to put the planter top onto the planter base. And when you're putting the planter top onto the base, you push down slightly because it'll be floating on there. So as you push down slightly, then some of that water is going to seep up into the planter base. And then then when you push it fully down, it will actually, it'll only go down so far. And then once it's all the way down, you might have a little water that you'll see in the planter top, and you can add additional water if you like, up to about a 1/4 inch. So once you have the planter top seated on the planter base, and it's fully seated, you can add a little bit more water. So it's about a 1/4 inch of water there. Because once you put the spacer, which is about a 1/2 inch tall, then the top of the spacer will be dry, and you want the top of the spacer to be dry because you want the plants to be sitting in a dry environment. And then the watering happens every couple hours, and it'll raise the water level so that the plants get wet, but then it very quickly lowers that level so that once they've been watered, then it's dry again. So once you got it to the right level, you can transfer the planter over to the planter light stand, or you can probably more safer to fill it over there by the stand. But I just usually fill it in the sink and then carry it over. So just you want to be careful if you're carrying it with water because it does get a little heavy. Or you could fill it at the planter where the light stand is as well. Okay, so let's go through the assembly process of the MicroQuad planter. The first thing you want to do is ensure that the pump has an adjustment, a flow adjustment, and you want to make sure it's adjusted fully to the left. It should already be there, but just double check. Then you want to connect the pump to the hose. When you have the planter top upside down, you connect the pump to the hose, and then from the inside of the planter top, you want to hold that hose and turn it right side up while you carry that planter top over on top of the planter base, and you set it on top of the base. Then you slowly push down on the base. And the reason you slowly push down is because there's some extra water that's going to flow up into the planter top. If you push too fast, then that water is going to leak out the sides and then go onto your counter. So if you do it slowly, there should be no leaking of water. Once you have the planter top fully seated, there's the hose that's sticking up. You can push that hose down a little bit to ensure that hose is going to push down on the pump, and that pump has got some suction cups that will seat down onto the planter base. So then everything's nice and settled in. Once you have all that done, you can add your spacer to the planter top, and then once the spacer's there, and the spacer should be dry, or else you have too much water, and then you add your grow trays. In this example, we have some peas and some lettuce that I'm putting in there just to show. And the peas actually they're going through the second harvest. So peas you can actually grow them and then cut them, and then they can keep growing. And if you had disconnected the plug on the pump, you can go ahead and put that back in. It should be on the second timer. The light is on the first timer. And then you're ready to go. So that's the assembly process. All right, we are now on day 6, and this is the first full day that it's been in the MicroQuad planter. You'll notice that the leaves are now bright green, and they are um, reaching up above the top of the grow tray about a half to 1 inch, and it is on autopilot. So it is automatically being watered, automatic lighting. So all you have to do is keep an eye on it until harvest time. So this is what you should expect for radish microgreens. Now let's skip over to day number 8. So here you can see now that the stems are pushing up 1 to 2 inches above. They're leaning over to the sides, and the leaves are nice and wide now. So this tray is ready for harvest. Okay, so now we're ready for harvesting. So to harvest, you remove your preparation tray. You can place it in the sink or wherever you like. And what you want to do is grab some scissors. And what I like to do is just grab the whole bunch, as I am doing here. You grab it all with both hands and pull it out of the tray. It might be stuck a little bit because some of the roots are now going outside of the tray, but you can see the bottom. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, full of roots. You can't even see the grow media. The roots have kind of absorbed the grow media, and you can see some of the holes on the bottom. So you kind of just squeeze them all, kind of get them into one hand, like I have here, into one bunch, and then with the scissors, with the other hand, you kind of cut away towards the root, about a 1/2 inch from the roots. Uh, and then you just kind of keep cutting away so that until you get it basically all separated from the roots, and then you can kind of clean off any hulls from the bottom because some of the hulls will go to the bottom there. And now you have your bunch. Now you can at that point put them in a container. You can put them in a little cup and just have them on your dinner table there for people to just pick, or you can put it into a storage, into some storage for the refrigerator. Make sure it's a sealed container if you're going to put them in the refrigerator. But that's pretty much it. A grow from start to finish for radishes. And the broccoli and sunflower seeds and peas are slightly different, but the concept is pretty much the same. So hopefully this will help you get started in and what to expect in growing. Now let's talk about planting strategies and frequency. So we have 3 different strategies here, and there's probably many more, but these are the most common. So plant and harvest every day. So if you plant a tray every day, then eventually a tray is ready to be harvested every day. So you'll always have fresh microgreens. It's easy to remember what to do because every day you plant something and every day you harvest something. So pretty easy to remember what to do. And uh, you do water any trays in germination, but the trays that are inside the microquad planter get watered automatically. Now, because there's going to always be something in your planter, we recommend you pick a day of the week that you use for cleaning. And during that day, or during that cleaning, which only takes a couple minutes, you temporarily remove the grow trays from the planter, and then you move the planter over into the sink, you empty the water, you clean them out, and you add water, and then you put the grow trays back in and continue on. Your second option is to plant and harvest every other day. Um, the benefit on this one is you could have a variety of microgreens that you harvest. So you could have maybe like a sunflower seed, which is mild, and then a radish, which is more spicy. So you have some diversity there, or maybe diversity in colors as well. So you have a pair of plants that you're harvesting at the same time. The drawback is you have to remember, is today a planting day or not? But that's just one thing to consider. And then obviously anything in germination, you do have to water every day. And the same problem exists where the previous one, where there's always going to be something in the planter, so you temporarily have to remove the trays when you're cleaning once a week. And then finally, a third option is to plant and harvest every 4 days. So basically, you're planting all 4 trays at once, and then harvest all 4 trays at once. So this is going to create a very large harvest where you're going to have quite a bit of microgreens. And so we recommend storing those in the refrigerator for up to 1 week in some sort of sealed container. And then again, watering any trays that are in germination. But because you harvest all the trays at once, then now your planter is empty once you finished harvesting. So it's a perfect time for cleaning, and then you're ready to bring in the plants that have been in germination once you have a nice clean unit ready to start again. So that's a little bit about planting frequency. Now we'll leave you with some final thoughts on where to learn more and some additional considerations. Well, first of all, we're on Facebook and Instagram and have a YouTube channel. So on YouTube, all you have to do is search for HydroFresh Greens and you should be able to find our channel. You can also use one thing that we didn't mention about the MicroQuad planter, as in the picture above, you can start off your spring crop of vegetables using a 9 cell 5 by 5 inch tray and 1 inch rock wool cubes to start off your vegetables. In this example, we have some lettuce and some peppers and some tomatoes that we're starting off. So the planter can fit 4 of the 9 cell trays, which 9 times 4 is 36. So you can have 36 baby vegetables that you start off here before you transfer them over to the outside or your greenhouse or wherever you're going to grow your vegetables. Or you can use a combination of some starting vegetables as well as some microgreens as well, like the picture shows in this example. If you are using that to start off vegetables and you're going to keep them in there a couple weeks, you probably should use some nutrients at that point because once vegetables, start off after about a week or so, they could probably benefit some nutrients before you plant them in the ground and get nutrients from soil or however you're going to grow them. To learn more information on the web, well, we do have our website, which has a learning blog on it. And um, you also have, you can Google how to grow microgreens on Google or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you're using to learn on the web, and there's plenty of guidelines. Just keep in mind that the guidelines we had on this video are specific to growing hydroponically in preparation for transferring to our microquad planter. So some of the strategies that you may learn outside on Google or other places, YouTube, etc., may not be ideal for growing on our planter. So hopefully, and you're also welcome to post any questions on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, or our website if you want more information. Thank you very much.